Welcome to the Farm to School podcast, where you will hear stories of how you thrive and farmers prosper when we learn how to grow, cook, and eat delicious, nutritious, local foods in schools across the country
and the world. Hey everyone, we're your hosts. I'm Michelle Markestein.
And I'm still Rick Sherman. Today we have a special guest with us, Joshua Miller. He's a principal consultant with Remarkable Academic Foods.
Yay, Joshua.
So Joshua, hello. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me on, Rick and Michelle.
So Joshua, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your journey and how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, so my journey is technically you could go all the way back to my childhood, where I was in love with. I just fell in love with food instantly from the moment I cooked my first item was scrambled eggs, and I said I want to be a chef, and it was like destined from there. I was like 8 years old, and here I am today, still involved in the industry. As someone else put it, I can't take credit for it, but recovering chef.
Yeah.
But I guess you can say I am. And so, really getting involved with this, and starting up this company, I was heavy in college food service dining before I became a culinary director for a food service contract company. And getting involved in the K-12 aspect, the child nutrition part of it, is really a passion of mine from my memories of childhood and school lunches. I started off in a grade school, private grade school, and they unfortunately gave us like fast food every day. It was like Arby's roast beef sandwich once a week, Burger King cheeseburger once a week, chicken nuggets from a local chicken place once a week. Yeah, so that not very great. And then I went to high school, part of the National School Lunch Program, very bare bones, not really any fresh anything that I remember except maybe a salad every now and again. And I realized as I got older in my mid-20s, I was like, whoa, like my relationship with healthy food has really been negatively impacted by not being exposed to fresher foods growing up, and including in school. So I'm here to make a difference any way that I can. And while I'm not the person that's going to come in and can help you with procuring your foods for child nutrition, there's obviously a lot of ancillary components to child nutrition that I can help with, such as training and equipment planning and things like that.
I just appreciate your passion and your skills and how multifaceted they are and what you bring to this work. And you just covered a ton of ground. I'd like to put this in context for all our listeners, because what Joshua so eloquently overlaid was, starting in a private school that was not part of a child nutrition program, such as National School Lunch or breakfast program. So, and then switching to a school that would. And this distinction is that child nutrition programs have strict nutrition requirements and things that need to be served when. So even if there are name brand recognizable products in schools, such as like a national brand of pizza, for example, or chocolate milk, for example, it will be very differently formulated in child nutrition programs than something that you would buy at a convenience store or something. So there's lots of whole grains in them. There's less sugar. There's less sodium. They literally are different foods from what you can buy commercially.
And that's a good point, Michelle. There might be a certain stigma attached to some of those things, like some of the, like a name brand recognizable audience. People might just automatically assume how it's formulated, but is that right?
It is. And, it's actually something when we started Farm to School in Oregon, this may not be what people are picturing for Farm to School, because I think we all have a different view. It could be scratch cooking, could be something your grandma brought. And what we thought of in Oregon was, now again, this is going back to 2007, but if we looked at the two most popular foods that kids eat, so the highest participation days, so those were pizza and burritos, and we reformulated those. They already met the strict nutrition guidelines of child nutrition programs. But if we included more Oregon agricultural products, it means kids have more access to Oregon products, and it's better opportunity for farmers. So it was a start. And what I also realized too early on is, we were going for all scratch cooking. It just sounds so amazing and totally impossible in a lot of different places. Not only folks have the resources, they don't have the resources, but it takes training, it takes equipment, it takes distribution, it takes having a dishwasher to do dishes and trays and utensils. So every school site is unique and everyone's trying to figure it out the best way they can.
Yeah, so in terms of the environmental, we're reducing the food miles of sourcing our food from local providers, local farmers, working with items that are in season, less processed. It's all great. But then you also have the fact of where is the food coming from? Mm-hmm. And part of where I want to hit on with all three of these is telling the story for your students, telling the story for your food service team members. How many miles away is that food coming from? And you can get into geeky data analytics of how that's impacting the environment, or you can literally just say this farm is 25 miles away. Okay. And starting to tell the story of that with, again, everyone. And again, getting into the environmental part of it, not wasting that local food. It's not wasting food in general is big, but if you're spending $50,000 in local foods, but $5,000 is wasted, is that really doing all good for the local environment? Not really. And so really taking care of not wasting, and even if you compost, that's a great way to divert it from the landfills. But at the end of the day, guess what? It still took energy to cook that food. It still takes energy to come and pick up the waste and convert it into compost, and also educating the consumers, the students. Your students are eating local apples in New York, right? If they're throwing it in the trash, that's not good. So really educating them on the environment with regard to your farm to school, I think is definitely one of the ways that we can help continue this trend and this need for environmental sustainability.
How about, I appreciated when you were saying about taking care of the food service team or the human aspect about it. What are you thinking about that?
Yeah, so again, we often forget about the social aspect of, yes, we're there for the students, we're there to support their parents, but your team members that are showing up every day, it's hard work and can't take that for granted. And we need to make sure we're supporting them. And so while our farm to school programs are educating students about where their food is coming from and the importance of healthy eating and hands-on learning, why can't those same opportunities be put in front of your team members? We have posters in the cafeteria saying, the nutrition, benefits of broccoli or whatever other fruits or vegetables. If you're having huddles with your team members, point that out to them as well. Bring them in the loop. Bring them into opportunities. If a farmer's coming in to speak with the students, why can't they stop by the kitchen and get to meet the staff that's actually working with the food and preparing it? So really helping get them engaged, whether it's all of those things, whether it's menu input, recipe input, things like that. And I can even go further down the rabbit hole of, wellness, which is a little bit outside of the farm to school. The farm to school initiatives, but wellness challenges, initiatives, that's all engaging aspects of your program. And when they are more engaged with being in a team and working together and serving the food and being happy, it's a win-win-win for everyone. So why can't you have wellness challenges? Like, how many 30-minute walks are you doing this month? And have a competition out of it. How many nights are you getting 8 hours of sleep? Or have little funky days like share a compliment day. Have everyone going around sharing compliments with each other and students. And even down to mental health resources. We know that's a hot topic. And just having a list of resources that are available. Notice I'm not saying you need to go out and open up a gym. You don't need to hire trainers. I'm not telling you to go out and have a mental health specialist on staff. These are all things that are essentially free, other than a little bit of time that it takes to get them going. It's costing you nothing, and it's being more engaged with your team. And again, supporting the social sustainability part of it. It's not just about the students, it's about your team members as well.
It does. Those sound like things that are well within reach.
Hey, Joshua, I had a question on your mission statement on your website, which I'll leave a link in the show notes for this. It says, our mission at Remarkable Academic Foods is to positively impact consumers and operators through hyper collaboration.
Yes.
I'm curious what that's a new one on me. I know what collaboration, and I'm guessing what this would mean, but what's your take on that? Hyper collaboration.
Yeah, hyper collaboration is collaborating on all different levels across diverse disciplines.
Okay.
Right. So it's not, I'm not putting myself in a box and saying I'm only going to work with X schools by saying, I'm only going to do New York State, or I'm only going to do the Northeast. I'm collaborating with all schools. For example, I'm going to California to do training. And then collaborating with multiple disciplines is, I'm not an expert at everything. I'm not the end all be all. No one is, for that matter. At least I don't think so. I haven't found anyone yet. But even with regard to consulting, I may not be the expert in everything, but I have a network of other professionals.
Okay.
I'm a part of a consultant organization called Food Service Consultants Society International, and they have the Americas division. I'm a part of that. And again, it's a great network of other consultants and other specialties that I can bring to the table, whether it's recommended and you work directly with them or not, or we bring them in and we create a team to help with whatever your goals are. I'm just all about collaborating, meeting other people, and helping each other out. And not to say that consultants know the answers to everything. Operators are huge on collaboration too. So collaborating with operators as well is another aspect to it. So It's just another way to say open arm collaboration.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. And you answered my next question. I was going to say was, where is your typical audience? And it looks like you're nationwide, not just in the New England area. You were just saying you're going out to the left coast, as it were, too. So you're mobile. Is that right? You can go anywhere. Okay.
Exactly.
And one of the things, we were talking about sustainability, and I know you have different areas of expertise and you help people think through equipment. One of the things we do on state level and nationally is we give out equipment grants to schools who are looking for different things. And I was just wondering, when you're considering sustainability or farm to school, have you seen particular kinds of equipment or setup that is more useful,
advantageous,
or needed, or that we're missing? Just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I will say it's definitely case by case. There's no one size fits all for that. And one of the reasons for that is because of the disruptor of electrification. And for example, in New York City, there's a charter school I've been talking with that has equipment, and everyone's concerned in New York City about the equipment being mandated to be electric in the future. So they're starting to think about that because obviously in California, it's a big thing, and New York tends to follow that. So that's one example, and why it can't be really a one size fits all. But I will say, in a general aspect, smart equipment is something I'm a fan of, but it's not for every single operation, because you can't depend on every team in every school to be able to understand the bells and whistles that comes on them and how to work them, which is why another aspect of what I bring to the table is training. And I've actually partnered with a training company called Pineapple Academy, where we actually make it easy for the frontline workers to access training content. Micro learning videos, it's 5 minutes or less on just how to simply operate the oven, right? If it's a combi oven and it has 25 different functions and all kinds of buttons, why can't they just walk up to it and get a quick tutorial with visuals on how to operate it, and then another one on how to clean it and things like that. But I'm a huge fan of the equipment that's getting smarter for so many reasons in terms of operational efficiency.
Well, and one of the main messages of Farm to School and like the National Farm to School Night and lots of different state movements is values based, values aligned meals. And one of the components of that is more scratch cooking. And I'm wondering, like, what kind of equipment or sustainability considerations could schools be thinking about towards that?
Yes. So I think for sure the combi ovens is a big part of it because you're not having a separate steamer and a separate convection oven for your equipment, which is hopefully helping you shorten your footprint of equipment in your kitchen. And they're doing so many different functions. Now you can have these combi ovens that are doing smoking. Right, I can put a smoker box in it, and now all of a sudden I have smoked meats on my menu, and I didn't have to order a separate smoker.
That's new.
So, right, so versatile equipment is definitely up there, and there's some other equipment that is again on the higher end spectrum, but it does many functions in terms of sautéing and boiling, and I know that we're not really frying, but doing any shallow sauteing, things like that in it is definitely another aspect. So equipment that can do more than one task, I'm huge for, especially even down to your holding boxes. Right? Yeah. You have warming boxes to hold your food, and now they have them where they can help preserve the quality a little better by helping control the humidity, and we take that for granted. We absolutely do. We just stick it in the hot box that's been around for 15 years in that kitchen, and we just go out and replace it with one that does the exact same thing. But I've seen it with my own eyes. I've tasted it I've smelled it, I tasted it, like the quality that these holding cabinets can do in helping preserve the quality of your food after it comes out of the oven long term. It makes a huge difference when you're able to serve it and know that it's being served at a better quality than if you didn't have that piece of equipment.
One of the things when I was a food service director back in the day, in that same vein, you have a tiny kitchen and you only can afford one or two pieces of equipment. My favorite ones was always a tilt skillet too, because you could fill it up, like you put a couple inches of water and it could be hot holding. It could be a Bain Marie. You could use as a griddle. You can fill it up and make 40 gallons of stew with it. It was like you said, versatile. You could do many things with it. You wouldn't need 5 pieces of equipment. It does the job of 5 or 6 pieces. So yeah, love that.
Exactly.
Anyway, just not to get in the weeds and equipment. This isn't the equipment show.
But you guys are equipment geeking out here.
No, it just made me wax philosophical. And
he does look very contemplative.
Yeah.
You can't. Anyway. Listeners can't see him, but he's very equipment contemplative.
Okay, we promise we'll stop talking about it.
But no, really, for all of us who aren't going to do large scale institutional K-12 equipment, what are some calls to action or considerations for sustainability?
Yeah, so I think the first and foremost call of action for me personally, I might be not speaking to 100% of the audience, but I'm not spontaneous. I'm a huge planner. Like I said, I'm a data geek. So plan it out. I don't care if you just pull up a Word document, and if you're taking tips from this show or other conferences, whatever it is, have a plan. And just if it starts out with ideas, and then down the road you can add some dates and add people that you can work on these different projects with. I think having a plan of action is huge because it's easy to hear all the ideas and all the solutions that exist and get lost in the mess of it. Right? If you start to organize it and again, put a plan of action out so that you are seeing what you want to learn more about, what you want to implement. I think that's the first huge step to success in any of these efforts.
Yeah, it's like there's so many things to be working on at any given time. And, you can get lost along the way, but having something to aim towards.
Just like we did.
Yes.
We went from food to equipment, right? Yeah. Sustainability on so many fronts. It's easy to get lost in all the options that are out there. So yeah.
Well, it definitely is.
Well, Joshua, I want to thank you so much for being on our program today. It was an honor.
Thank you for having me again. So glad to add value for your audience today.
Yeah, Joshua, you sure did. And you added value to my life as well. Thank you. And we'd really like to thank everyone for listening. Farm to School was written, directed, and produced by Rick Sherman and Michelle Markestein. It was made possible by a grant from the United States Department of Agriculture.
The content and ideas on the Farm to School podcast does not necessarily reflect the opinions of Oregon State University, Oregon Department of Education, and the United States Department of Agriculture. The USDA, Oregon Department of Ed, and Oregon State University are equal opportunity providers and employers.
Do you want to learn more about Farm to School? Check out other episodes, show notes, and contact information by searching up Farm to School Podcast OSU.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you. Stop by the website Michelle just mentioned to say hello or give us an idea for a future podcast.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, Joshua.
Thanks, Joshua.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.